So, intro, I'm going to be doing videos on genetics. We're going to start in this video with the very basics of it because I genuinely believe this is like math, where if you look at the whole thing and the whole big picture, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to know what you're looking at. So we're going to break it down into, I think, 6 or 7 easy chunks, and this is basically what we're going to be looking at. This video will basically cover what you need to know to begin to know what you're looking at. And for that, I'm going to start with genotype, phenotype, and then going over the different sets we will be looking at. There are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets. And then that includes the broken gene, which I do think is very important. A lot of people overlook it, and I think that it's something I wish a lot of breeders understood. I'm mainly doing these because every single time I mention I know genetics or I worked on genetics, everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's something I wish I finally got around to doing. And I'm like, just do it. Like, it's very simple if you know what you're understanding. And that's where, like, websites and stuff, I'm going to be honest, the majority of what you're going to hear is right out of books. And specifically, the Holland Lop Rabbit Specialty book has a whole section on genetics. When you join the RBA, it comes with the Raising Better Rabbits and Cavies book that also has a section on genetics. I will link all the websites I use down below in the description. And yeah, so let's start with genotype and phenotype. Now, when you look at a rabbit, you will automatically know the phenotype because the phenotype just simply means what the rabbit looks like. What is dominant that's making it look like how it does. So the genotype is more like the underlayer of genetics on top of the phenotype. So the phenotype is just what you can know only from what you're looking at, and the genotype is what the rabbit carries, where, like, what all the recessive genes are, pretty much. And then I'm going to focus specifically on the Holland Lop breed. All these genes are explained to be tailored towards Holland Lop breeders. It does work for every single rabbit in existence, but there's things like casters and ambers in different breeds, or like, silver martins and stuff like that, where it's just not common in this breed. I will also like to say that I am still learning shaded, and I don't work with otters, but I will still be going over the otter gene, and I don't work with agouti either, so I'm not going to say what will strengthen certain bands because that's not my understanding. I'll just be going over the basics of those. I work in self and torch and shaded, although I'm still figuring out the shaded as just mentioned. So there's 6 sets. There's A, B, C, D, E, and then the extensions. So A is pattern, B is color, C is pigment, D is density of color, and E is extension of color. And then there's the wool and the broken gene. And now I always throw the broken gene on. It's technically a double set, but I always throw it on as a 6th. That's what we're going to be going over. It's all very simple. It just seems overwhelming. And then, of course, once I figure out how I'm going to unearth format this, I should hopefully also be able to show pictures of what these colors look like when they're dilute, when they're extended, when they're agouti. Most of these, when you mix the wrong things together, which I will also be going over, you get unshowable colors, and I wish people understood this, because that's why all of my herd bucks are self, and only one of them actually, is a broken. So all those things contribute to what you produce, and how much of it is usable, and I want my herd to be 100% usable and compatible color-wise with everything. So that's the most important part of genetics, is compatibility. And then, of course, I could also, if you guys are really interested, I could go over things like oftentimes bone thickness equates to how thick the ears are and stuff like that. There are a few tricks and stuff that are very much connected genetically that I could also go over if you guys would be interested. But mainly this is just going to be coat genetics.